Good afternoon. I'm Cheryl Cuthrill, the GOP chair for Anderson County. I have with me today Joe Reynolds, who's from North Charleston, and he's running for the U.S. Senate seat against Lindsey Graham, Duke Buckner, and Michael LaPierre. So I'd like to welcome Joe today to our Zoom meeting.
Thanks a lot. It's a privilege to be here.
I'm so happy you could do this for me. Now, I want to just talk to you just a few minutes. So what is your main reason for seeking this position?
Well, I'm a chief engineer on ocean-going vessels. I graduated from the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy in 1987, and I've been going to sea ever since. And going out to sea is a tough life, but when the ship breaks down, I don't have anybody to blame. I don't have anybody to point the finger at. We got to get the drive and the urgency and the grit to get it done immediately, or we're in a lot of trouble. The safety of the crew and the cargo is at risk. Now, as an engineer, I don't like walking by broken things for too long. And I kept looking at Congress and thinking, well, why doesn't it work? What's the problem here? Why don't we address the big issues of the day? And I started to look at it as a puzzle, a troubleshooting puzzle that an engineer would solve. And I looked at it as an engineer, and I came up with this. The answer is that we got the wrong people up there. We have people who are more interested in their personal political ambitions and their financial position than they are in serving their constituents. They go up there, maybe they have noble ideas to begin with, but they're soon sucked into the machine, and they have to raise money for the party, they have to raise money for other candidates, and they have to raise money for their own campaign. So they spend all their time raising money and not enough time working on the big things that we need to do as a country to move forward. Now, part of the problem is the majority and minority leaders, they want to protect their members so they get reelected. And those members, don't want to vote on things that are going to make them look bad to their constituents. So majority and the minority leader tend to not have votes. So we don't vote on anything, even though it may be a bipartisan issue or a bipartisan bill. It doesn't make it to the floor because one member says to Mitch McConnell, I can't vote on it. My constituents are going to be mad at me for this vote. Another Democrat says to Chuck Schumer, we can't vote on this one because it's going to make me look bad. So it's all about getting reelected, and it's not about us as constituents and helping the country move forward. I thought I could turn that on its head as an engineer. I thought maybe I can flip that. Maybe I can get a wedge, out at sea. We take a wedge to separate two flanges so that we can release the liquid, or separate the flanges so we can get the bolts out and fix the flange. And I thought if I could be a wedge and just get in there and get some ethics rules passed, because the Senate is very evenly divided, and if I used my one vote, it'd be very important. Now, I got a couple ethics rules. I got an oath of office, and I'll go into more detail of that later. But that's the reason I decided to run, because I thought I had an idea that I could fix things in Washington to make it better for us.
Now, as you looked at the Republican platform, what is the most important points of that Republican platform that you hold dear?
Well, I think we have a problem with fiscal responsibility, and it isn't just a Democrat problem now, it's a Republican problem as well. We do not seem to be able to stop spending the money, and I know we had a big crisis now that we needed to spend some money on people who really needed it, but this goes way beforehand. We went years and years racking up these deficits. We did well in 2019. We raised revenue 4%, and then we spent 8% more on defense and 7% more on domestic spending. It's like you got a $3,800 bonus at the end of the year, and you said, look, honey, I bought an $8,000 boat. It just doesn't work. We can't do it that way. We can't keep doing it that way. Now, I understand the reasons for spending some money now, borrowing some money to help people who are really struggling, but we got to get back to a fiscal discipline that we once had as Republicans. We were known for it, and we've kind of given that away. Secondly, I'm a constitutional conservative. So I do agree with Rand Paul that we've given away a lot of our powers to the presidency and to the judges regarding, these emergency powers and these surveillance powers. Also, the judges seem to make laws. The president has executive orders. The reason is it's a matter of convenience, because Congress really doesn't want to vote on things because that's hard work. So they allow the president and the judges to do the heavy lifting. I want to claw that constitutional power back. It's supposed to be three equal branches. It's supposed to be the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. The legislative was Article 1 of the Constitution. We need to act like it. We should not act like we're subservient to justices making laws, or Obama or even President Trump making laws on their own. I don't agree with that. I agree with Rand Paul that the Constitution makes us a co-equal branch, and we should return to that.
So what are the things that you feel is, if you're elected, that you're going to go up there, what is your key bullet items that you're focused on?
Well, I have two ethics rules, and I have a new oath of office, and I have also a constitutional amendment for term limits for the Senate only. Now, my ethics rules are pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Instead of legislation regarding this PAC money or the super PACs or the dark money or the fundraising, my ethics rule is this. When you're up there during the legislative work week, that's your constituents' time. That's not your time to go across the street and start fundraising, or go to some party and drink Chardonnay and have canapes with, the high and mighty to raise more money. Lindsey Graham's going out to the Hamptons to raise money. He's going to Beverly Hills to raise money. He's going to raise money from the richest people in America. Meanwhile, we're stuck here in South Carolina, and we don't see him very often. When you go up to Washington, D.C., you're going up there to work for us. So during the legislative work week, when we go up there and we're gavelled in for the week, you're not allowed to raise money. Secondly, you're not allowed to raise money in the District of Columbia. No more of that. If you're going to raise money, you can go out to Vegas, or you can go up to the Hamptons like Lindsey does, but you can't raise money in the District of Columbia. Let's just try to keep our nation's capital preserved from that kind of corruption. We got K Street holding these fundraisers, and all the senators and congressmen show up, and it's a race to raise money all the time. I'm only running for one term. That way, I do not fall into this machine politics. I do not fall into this fundraising trap that so many senators and congressmen, congresswomen go up there and they fall into. They think they're going up there to do a good job. They get up there, and the first thing they're told is, you got to raise so many millions of dollars before X.
That's your fine.
Pardon me.
No, that's fine. That's what happens with our Zoom meetings. We have
Sorry about that.
Phones and
yes, to get back on track, I'm only running for one term. I'm not trapped by that fundraising machine. I can go to work. I spend all my time working for the constituents of South Carolina and the people of this country. And I have an additional oath of office. And that oath of office, I think we've all seen people like Hunter Biden make money off of his family, Hillary Clinton make $200,000 a speech at Goldman Sachs, and even Nikki Haley making all this money on these speaking tours. My obligation as a public servant, I believe, is when I'm done, I'm not making money off that position. We have 430 members of Congress up there now who are lobbyists. They were former members, and now they're lobbyists. We have a revolving door. They leave the door as a congressperson. They go right back up there, and they start making money in lobbying. It's not right. Secondly, they end up being in think tanks or consultancies, or they end up being in the media and getting paid for that. I don't agree with it. So I got a new oath of office. The last time the oath of office was revised in 1966, and it's easy to revise. And I'd like to be on the ethics committee. It's the committee nobody wants to be on, because guess what? You don't make any corporate PAC money off of it. So I'm going to turn that on its head and say, no, this is the most important committee. We can't have senators doing insider trades up there, getting inside information like Senator Burr has been alleged, Senator Loeffler. I'm sure some Democratic senators are involved too. We can't have that. We need to have people who want to go up, serve their country, and then come home. Thirdly, I have a term limit amendment that will work. That made it too complicated in the past by putting in the House of Representatives. I've just put in the Senate. You get 2 terms in the Senate, and that's it. The House of Representatives, it's kind of a sneaky way to get it through, because the House of Representatives, they all aspire to be senators, so they're all going to vote for it. It's going to come to the Senate. We grandfather in some of these people who have been there a long time. I mean, look, when I was 9 years old and begging my dad to watch Happy Days, and he said, no, it's on a school night, it's too late. Guess what? Chuck Grassley and Patrick Leahy, they were already in Congress. I'm a 54-year-old man. they're still there. They aren't the solution to the problem. They're part of the problem. We need fresh faces, people like engineers and nurses and educators, truck drivers, to go up there and do the hard work, the heavy lifting we need to do to get the country moving forward. We got too many people spinning their wheels, wandering the halls of Congress saying, "What's for lunch?" and not enough people doing the hard work and getting their hands dirty. As a marine engineer, I know how to get my hands dirty.
Do you feel like you could do what you need to do in one term? Because I know a lot of people are saying, you know, seniority means a lot. And with one term, you would not be getting a lot of seniority. And I just want to ask a little bit about that. So you feel that you could accomplish in just being a one-term senator?
Yeah, it's a question I often get, and I'll make 2 points. One, Mitch McConnell only gets 1 vote. Chuck Schumer only gets 1 vote, and guess what? I get 1 vote too. This majority minority leader, it's been around for 80, 90 years. It's a custom and a habit. It's not in the Constitution. It used to be some kind of a way to bring order from chaos, but now it's an anchor around America. We don't get anything done because these leaders prevent votes from happening, because all they care about is the fundraising machine, getting their members reelected. And if that's your incentive, you're never going to get anything done. So, yeah, I think I can get something done that way. Second of all, they've never seen a marine engineer up there. You know, these guys are used to their cozy lawyers' offices, you know, up in Greenville, or, you know, down here on Trad Street. But they haven't met a guy who, when the ship breaks down at sea, we got to hit it. You know, I had the ship break down in the English Channel. I had a fuel line blow up. There's ships all around us. I can't say maybe next election I'll get to it. That's the kind of drive and urgency we need up in Congress. And that's the way I'll work. When I go up there, I go to work. I don't go up there to fundraise. I don't go up there to party. I don't go up there to work for other people. I work there for the constituents of South Carolina and the people of this country.
We have heard too, and this is just a side note, that when we we elect our representatives every 2 years, it seems like, bless their hearts, they've got to worry about the fundraising and running for a next term, and it kind of cuts their time in their positions short because they're constantly having to campaign.
They honestly only have about 6-9 months to work, and then it's an election again. And now it seems even tighter. It's election after election after election. Do you hear anything about maybe compromises on immigration, votes on immigration? No. Do you hear anything about Social Security and Medicare trust funds running out and we're going to address it? No. Do you hear anything about our infrastructure, our crumbling infrastructure, or the high cost of drug prices for our seniors? The reason we don't get to these things is because they're inconvenient. Especially, we have a bipartisan bill on drug prices, and Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell don't want to put it on the floor. Why don't they? Well, maybe it has something to do with the fact that there's a lot of money, pharmaceutical money, PAC money, that is in their campaigns. You know it, I know it. It's part of a quid pro quo. If you're getting $5,000 from AstraZeneca or Glaxo or somebody, you know, you're going to listen to those people first before you listen to, you know, Patty across the street here. And that's unfortunate. When I'm elected, I'm going to have open town halls and meetings. I'm not going to hide like Lindsey Graham. I'll be available. And you know what? I've seen Mark Sanford and people giving him an earful, but he stands there and he lets them have their say. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to let people have their say. If they're mad as hell at me, I'll let them have their say. If they just have a question, I'll be there. I'm not going to be hiding at fundraisers. I'll be there listening to you.
Well, I appreciate your time, and I'm going to give you a couple of more minutes just to tell everybody how to get in touch with you,
Sure.
where your website is, and all that. And once again, I want to thank you for your time, and we appreciate. I know it's been hard for all of you with the COVID, not being able to
You
get
know,
out.
we had an event just now. You know, we thought we were going to the Aiken Alley for a stump, and it looks like they're canceling that too. It's going to be an online thing. It's very difficult because there's really no substitution to be in front of the voter and have them talk to you. I spoke to 11,000 people before the virus hit. I was on the ground at the fairs, the football games, you know, and people understand that is important, to talk to the candidates. And the virus right now, it's really set people back. There's a lot of uncertainty, and you can't even really knock on a door because you feel you're intruding on people's lives. It's unfortunate, you know.
So you have Joe Reynolds 2020 or Reynolds
Yes,
2020? Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm at reynolds2020.com. You can email me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on social media. If you ask a question on Facebook and in the comments section, sometimes it's, with Facebook, it's difficult to find those. So if I don't get to it, please email me, because if you email me, I will reply to you. I try to get to everybody. I'm also texting, and if you're the unfortunate recipient of a text, my apologies in advance. I'm trying to change Congress to make it a Congress for us, not them, not the professional career politicians, not the lobbyists and the fundraisers or the corporate PACs, but to make it more about us. If we could just get a few good people of decency, honesty, and good faith to go up there, do the job for us, I think we could really move the country forward and find some solutions. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much for the time, and we really appreciate it, and we'll wish you luck on the primary on June 9th.
All right. Thanks a lot, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.